calls me googly eyes.
You know you're beautiful, right? You know that?
Even you are beautiful. I got bullied for wearing glasses. Share if you're against bullying.
We put it out there, just took off. 3 million people have shared this post. Don't let bullies get you down. I stand with you. Our whole family's wearing glasses. I wear glasses and I'm proud.
I even have the army on my team.
All the kind comments brought my child joy. I don't feel thank you is enough.
Next.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where the ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
I wanted to find a bank with a purpose. I wanted to find a place that would take my money and not use it to cause the financial crisis, but to fix the financial crisis and to help end income inequality.
The people that we employ are usually clients right off the streets. They don't have an account, but Amalgamated is willing to get that started for them.
Their reputation supporting the working man, I think, speaks for itself. This is a bank that cares for their customers, and I appreciate that.
We were able to access a construction loan through the bank's programs, and that loan has helped us house 28 families in the community.
Amalgamated is a bank that was started for and about working people.
Many of our customers have a deep commitment to advocating for social and economic justice. We share that commitment, and we're not afraid to stand up and say that we need to change some of the way that the country does business.
I grew up in the housing projects of Cleveland. I didn't even know that life could be any better than it was. Education for me has been a way to get away from the agony of what was normal life. I want to be able to impact the community, not just look back on where I came from, but to reach back to where I came from and pull some people up with me. My name is David, and I am your dividend.
The most important issue on this planet right now is to protect and conserve biodiversity in the world's oceans. And I don't think people realize just how intimate our connection is with the oceans themselves. Not only do they provide the very foundation of life and control our weather, but life just simply could not exist without a healthy ocean. The real problem, though, is apathy. It's all out of sight. It's all out of mind, and people don't even think about it. But it doesn't matter whether you live in Peoria or on the coast. The fact is, whatever happens in the ocean affects all life forms on the planet Earth. If the oceans die, then civilization collapses. We all die. We cannot live on this planet without the oceans. This is, in fact, not the planet Earth. It's the planet ocean, but because we're a land-dwelling species, we refer to it as Earth. But it is the planet ocean, and the oceans are the heart and the foundation of all life on the planet.
friends, what do you say? It is Monday, April 18. Good to see you today. Hope you had a great weekend. I'm ready to dive into this new week and all the news of the week, and there's a lot going on. We're coming to you live, of course, from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., and we're here with you on Free Speech TV and on our worldwide video stream, TawkrTV, youtube.com/TawkrTV. April 18, yep, indeed. Taxes due today. If you don't have them in already, get out there, finish them up, and then run off to the post office to avoid any penalty. And remember, pay your taxes with a smile because you're helping support a great country and some great national parks and great national highways and all the other benefits we get as Americans, not to mention our tremendous military. One day today before the New York primary, and both Bernie and Hillary are back in New York. Bernie back from Rome, Hillary back from California, campaigning hard to get people out to vote tomorrow. Bernie Sanders with a huge rally in Brooklyn's Prospect Park, getting out 28,300 people plus, which is even bigger than the big 27,000 rally he held last Wednesday evening in Manhattan's Washington Square. And, of course, Bernie comes back from Rome, giving a speech on income inequality and also having a little private meeting with Pope Francis. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton appearing at a big fundraiser in California with George Clooney, and afterwards Clooney said, yep, it's obscene to have to raise that kind of money, and he was sort of ashamed to have anything to do with it. Ted Cruz, another big weekend. He is running circles around Donald Trump in the delegate territory, picking up 50 more delegates over the weekend without a vote. Donald Trump getting about a dozen. All of that to talk about. Give us a call and join the conversation at 866-55-PRESS. Look forward to hearing from you.
This is the Bill Press Show.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine, Virginia Tech,
Tucson,
Aurora,
Fort Hood, Oak Creek,
Newtown.
Newtown,
Newtown.
Newtown.
How many more?
How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough.
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 Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad. As a friend. As a husband.
As a wife.
As an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday. It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
April 18, it is tax day. Pay those taxes with a smile, because look what a great country you're helping support with your taxes. Hello, everybody. April 18, Monday. Good to see you today, and good to be back with you. Back from the campaign trail, the debate trail, and the book trail down in Asheville, North Carolina. So good to see you today. Hope you had a great weekend. Boy, it was a spectacular day in Washington, D.C. yesterday. Perfect, beautiful, clear, sunny, and the temperature just absolutely perfect. About, I don't know, maybe 75. I didn't even check. But it was shorts and T-shirt weather, and it was great to be out. And great to see springing up right here in the nation's capital. Hope it was a good one wherever you happen to be as well. And we thank you for jumping onto the program this morning here to catch up with all the news of the new week, starting with a great big primary tomorrow in New York State, of course. Wherever you happen to be, remember, whether you're listening on your local progressive talk radio station or watching us on Free Speech TV or on our video stream, TawkrTV, not only good to have you with us, but it will be even better if you jump into the conversation. Either way, give us a call at 866-55-PRESS or send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show, on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. And we're all back together again today. Peter Ogburn and Jamie Benson.
Hello, Bill.
Boom,
Hey, good morning.
boom. By the way, thanks to Igor Volsky and to John Allen also for filling in while I was out at on CNN duty a couple of days last week. Ray Rogers here, ready for your calls at 866-55-PRESS, and Cyprian Bolding in a little earlier. Now the whole job of videographer handed over to Monty Kanzler on the job already this morning. I got to tell you, by the way, it was a lot of fun being up in Brooklyn for the big debate last week.
Very cool.
And you know, if you saw any of it, they during the day we were doing these live shots from a great little stage that they set up in the Brooklyn Navy Yard, right on the water, and it was a little chilly out there, I got to tell you, but you know. And I'm thinking, I should have worn a parka or something like that. No need, I got to tell you. That thing was so... The seats were heated.
Oh, come on.
Mm-hmm. And then we had little heaters at our feet.
Did you really?
Yeah, underneath the desk.
Sounds like the Cadillac of debate stages.
It was,
man.
this was our sound sets or whatever. This was, it was pretty comfortable out there.
I mean, will this do?
Yeah, I don't know.
Now that you're back here,
coming down here, but it was a beautiful set too. That looked great on the air. I thought.
Yeah, it did.
And then for the debate, we were up in the. We watched the debate in a special little room up in the debate hall. It was fun being on the floor of the debate and seeing a lot of good friends there from New York, and then wandering around a little ahead of time. So we watched the debate upstairs, and then we brought that, and they had this in the back of the debate hall. They call it the crow's nest. And we were up on this little platform in the very back of the hall. It was fun. But I got to tell you, there's a little danger being there at CNN for an event like this. So Wednesday evening, okay, I was at CNN at Time Warner Center, in the green room, waiting, and that was the night of the third town hall. That was the Ted Cruz.
Oh, right.
So here I am, and in walks Ted.
No.
And Heidi.
Really?
And the girls.
No, really?
What am I going to do? Here I am.
Jeez.
Chatting with Ted Cruz. I'm thinking, get me out of here. Get me out of here. So what can I say? The girls are so cute. They were so good on TV. And boy, Heidi's a real asset. And I mean, what do you know?
Yeah,
you
no, I know. I mean, you can't
nice,
pick a fight in that situation.
But I just wanted to go. Put the cross up for the devil, right? Drive a stake through his heart.
Hey, little girls, did you know that your father is the devil?
The Zodiac Killer.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right.
So then we were on until 1 o'clock in the morning. Got back to the hotel about 1:45. Just made it into the bar before they closed for a little nightcap. Get to bed about 2:30. Get up at 5:45 because I'm on CNN again at 7 a.m. Walk down from the hotel to CNN to get up there, get the makeup on, ready to go. And then they come in and said, "We're sorry. We're not going to use you this morning."
Oh, no.
We just had a big change in schedule. And who walks in but Corey Lewandowski?
Oh, wow.
The first interview that he has given since he was charged with assault. He agrees to come on New Day at 7 o'clock.
No kidding.
You know, so I didn't blame them for bouncing because they got that was a good get for him. Yeah. But so then he walks in. So I got to say hello to Corey Lewandowski. I grabbed his arm is what I did. Yeah, and pushed him. I grabbed his arm and shoved him.
That's okay.
I figured that's the way he likes to.
Apparently that's all right.
That's the way he treats people.
Yeah, that's a customary greeting, I guess.
It was pretty wild. Yep. Anyhow, good to be back, and we got lots going on here today with Ben and Jerry, the real Ben. Both of them, Ben and Jerry, are going to be here. They're going to be giving away free ice cream too. Elias Isquith joins us a little bit later in this hour from Salon. And a little bit later, too, a very famous activist from Greenpeace. Yes, the person who challenged Hillary about all the money she was taking from fossil fuels. So lots going on. But first, Peter.
This is the Full Court Press.
Yes, indeed. Just a couple of other stories making news. Last summer, we talked about how Treasury Secretary Jack Lew was going to get rid of Alexander Hamilton on the $10 bill and replace it with the face of a woman. Well, that story has taken a turn. According to senior government sources, they have changed their minds at the Treasury, and they are not going to do away with Alexander Hamilton's face on the $10 bill. And instead, a woman will go on the $20 bill. Now, a lot of people pointed out how important Alexander Hamilton is, especially when it comes to the Treasury.
Yeah.
And that taking him off would be a slight, where if you look at Andrew Jackson, he has a sketchy past.
Kind of terrible.
Yeah. Kind of a terrible past. And so that this would be, you know, like, if you want real progress, you get rid of the guy like Andrew Jackson and put a woman on it. So while it hasn't been officially announced, this is the way that they're going.
But there's another thing, too.
Go ahead.
The Broadway musical Hamilton has been so successful.
Sure, yeah.
That now they're saying...
I'm sure that has something to do with it. I'm sure that has something to do with it. All right, so you're on a plane. You're flying from Geneva, Switzerland. You're landing at Heathrow Airport in London, and all of a sudden, a drone hits your airplane. That is what happened to 132 passengers who were on board flight BA 727. Like I said, going from Switzerland to Heathrow. A drone hit the aircraft as it was landing. The plane landed safely. Everything is fine, but they are investigating to see not only if there was any kind of damage done, but who might have been flying that drone. Again, everybody landed safely, 132 passengers, 5 crew on board, and evering is...
Yeah. You know, you're not allowed to fly a drone within 5 miles of any airport.
That's true.
But the idiots do it, and there have been so many reported close calls. This is the first time.
This is the first time it's actually hit an airplane.
Hit one. And,
yeah.
you know, All the aviation experts say it's only a matter of time before one of them is sucked up by an engine.
Yep.
And we're going to lose the plane.
It's going to be bad.
And lots of lives.
Don't do that. Don't fly a drone near an airport. And it's that time that we all love. I know you remember this. The cicadas are coming back.
No,
the cicadas
really?
are coming back.
Is
Yes,
this a
every
cicada
17 years. This is a cicada year. So the way that it works is after these cicadas hatch, they burrow under the ground for 17 years.
It hasn't been 17 years since the last time.
Well, it has.
I didn't think so either. Yeah.
No. There's different phases, right? So there's like one phase that happened about 10 years ago, I think, or 11 years ago, and then there was another one that happened 17 years ago. So next month is when the cicadas will come about. Now, what happens is they hatch, they burrow under the ground, and then in 17 years they come out to mate. And so all over Ohio, New York, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia, they can expect to see cicadas back in action. I remember I was here about 11 years ago or so when it happened the last time. You can't, this is a little grotesque, but you cannot walk without hearing the crunch of cicadas under your feet.
Yeah. Well, all right, I'm ready.
Get your big boots on.
Especially cicada shoes.
Yeah, get out the cicada stompers.
Yeah, right. Well, indeed. So, I want to start with an important question today, and totally unrelated to politics or this 2016 primary. And this is a big issue facing the Congress and facing the president and facing the American people. And the question is it time to should we release the Saudi papers? You know, we've heard about the Pentagon papers. We've heard about the Panama papers recently. How about the Saudi papers? Yes or no? 866-55-PRESS. Now, this is what this is all about. We talked a little bit about it last Wednesday with Eleanor Clift from Daily Beast, because this issue has come up. Way back in September 11, there was a big question about why the intelligence agencies didn't have any idea, or did they have any idea about what Al-Qaeda was up to before the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001. So they had a congressional inquiry. It was headed by Senator Bob Graham, Democrat, then Senator Bob Graham, Democrat, and Porter Goss, Republican, both from Florida, by the way, from the House. They came up with a report. They issued their report in July 2004, and 28 pages of that report were immediately suppressed by the Bush administration, never released. Why? Well, Porter Goss and Bob Graham and Bob Kerry, by the way, who was also a member of that panel, and others have said, and John Lehman, who was Navy Secretary at the time and worked with the panel, said that these 28 pages contain some incontrovertible evidence that some of the hijackers, and remember, 15 out of the 19 of the hijackers were Saudi Arabian citizens. And again, according to these members of the panel, they found incontrovertible evidence that some of the hijackers were getting assistance from top officials in Saudi Arabia. Some individuals, some businesses, some charities, so-called charities, and even some help from the Saudi government. And all of that was suppressed. The lid has been on it. It's never been released now. 12 years later, we still don't know. Walter Jones and Steve Lehman, I believe it is, from New York, have introduced legislation, Republican and Democrat, have introduced legislation now in the Congress to request and to demand, not just request, demand release of these documents. President Obama, meeting twice with families of victims of September 11, has promised to release the pages, but they still haven't been released. The question is, why not? It may be embarrassing to the Saudi government, but it seems to me that's no reason for keeping them secret. You know, the wounds of September 11 are still too fresh in this country, and these families deserve some answers, and we, the American people, deserve to know the truth. We do know this, that after September 11, No flights, all flights were banned, remember? All flights were canceled. The only planes that flew during that time was the FBI, rounded up at the request of the Saudi government in various cities around the country. They rounded up Saudi Arabian citizens. They brought them to the East Coast. They put them on a plane and safely let them leave the country. They were the only planes that flew during that time. Special treatment for the Saudi citizens who happened to be here. And at the request of the Saudi Arabian government, we, the American government, basically rescued them, got them together and escorted them out of the country. So what's in these 28 pages, and don't we have a right to know? I believe so. 866-55-PRESS. And the timing is really critical for two reasons. Number one, because there's another piece of legislation in the Senate that would allow families of the victims of September 11 to sue the Saudi Arabian government based on what's in these 28 pages. And the Saudi government said Friday that if Congress passes that legislation, they will basically try to drive this country into bankruptcy. They will sell $750 billion worth of U.S. treasuries that they hold right now. So Saudi Arabia has threatened the United States if we pass legislation allowing people to sue, and Congress, based on what's in the papers, and the House has a resolution to release the papers. President Obama goes to Saudi Arabia on Wednesday for an official state visit after he stops in London on the way. Should he release the Saudi papers? Don't we have a right to know? I believe so, even if it is embarrassing to the Saudi royal family. 8, we have a right to know the truth about September 11th. Who is our friend and who is not? 866-55-PRESS. Let's talk about it right here on The Bill Press Show, Monday, April 18th.
Follow us on Twitter @BP Show. This is The Bill Press Show.
You taught him how to hit a baseball.
Just like that. Say hi!
How to hit a receiver. The strike zone. The net. You taught him how to hit the upper corner. You even taught him how to hit the open man. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit?
Calls me googly eyes.
You know you're beautiful, right? You know that?
Even you are beautiful. I got bullied for wearing glasses. Share if you're against bullying.
We put it out there, just took off. 3 million people have shared this post. Don't let bullies get you down. I stand with you. Our whole family's wearing glasses. I wear glasses and I'm proud.
I even have the army on my team.
All the kind comments brought my child joy. I don't feel thank you is enough.
Thanks.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here,
but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
I grew up in the housing projects of Cleveland. I didn't even know that life could be any better than it was. Education for me has been a way to get away from the agony of what was normal life. I want to be able to impact the community, not just look back on where I came from, but to reach back to where I came from and pull some people up with me. My name is David, and I am your dividend.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey, here we go at 26 minutes after the hour. I'm talking about this growing controversy here in Washington. And at a time when, by the way, of course, Democrats and Republicans can't agree on anything, even the time of day or the weather, this is one where they have come together, both Republicans and Democrats, saying that it's time, long past time, to release these 28 pages so we know exactly what kind of assistance, if any, by the way, because we really do not know whether these pages would implicate or exonerate the Saudi government. But isn't it time to know exactly what kind of, if any, these hijackers did receive? There have been rumors of a flurry of phone calls between the Saudi embassy here in Washington and one of the handlers of the two hijackers who was living in San Diego. There are rumors that Prince Bandar, who was the ambassador from Saudi Arabia to the United States at the time, wrote a $130,000 check from his family account to one of the handlers, another of the handlers of these two hijackers in San Diego. So there are these rumors swirling, but we haven't seen the 28 pages yet. And until we do, there's going to be all the suspicion of the Saudi government. We told you, we know that President Bush ordered the FBI to assist the Saudi government in getting some of their citizens out of the country. And we also know that on the 13th of September, President Bush and Prince Bandar sat on the Truman balcony and talked about what happened while they smoked cigars and enjoyed a nice evening on the Truman balcony. Well, it's past time. Release the 28 pages, don't you think? 866-55-PRESS.
This is the Bill Press Show.
The most important issue on this planet right now is to protect and conserve biodiversity in the world's oceans. And I don't think people realize just how intimate our connection is with the oceans themselves. Not only do they provide the very foundation of life and control our weather, but life just simply could not exist without a healthy ocean. The real problem, though, is apathy. It's all out of sight, it's all out of mind, and people don't even think about it. But it doesn't matter whether you live in Peoria or on the coast. The fact is, whatever happens in the ocean affects all life forms on the planet Earth. If the oceans die, then civilization collapses. We all die. We cannot live on this planet without the oceans. This is, in fact, not the planet Earth. It's the planet ocean, but because we're a land-dwelling species, we refer to it as Earth. But it is the planet ocean, and the oceans are the heart and the foundation of all life on the planet.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine. Virginia Tech.
Tucson.
Aurora.
Fort Hood. Oak Creek.
Newtown.
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 How many more? How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough. 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 Enough.
Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad. As a friend. As a husband.
As a wife.
As an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday. It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act. Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
Six. All right, now at 34 minutes after the hour on this tax day, Monday, April 18, the Bill Press Show, talking about growing pressure on President Obama to do what he has promised on two different occasions and to release the Saudi papers. Why not? The only possible reason is because, well, I guess maybe two. One, it might embarrass the Saudis. So what? And two, they might go through with their threat to sell off all the treasuries they hold, $750 billion worth. Frankly, I'd call their bluff on that because they're probably the best investment, the most sound investment on the planet. And I don't think they would want to sink their money. For example, what are they going to do? Buy bonds from, I don't know, what, Ecuador or Uruguay or,
right?
You know?
It's a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a good point. Make them do that.
Yeah, right. Here we go. Paul out in Arizona. Hey, Paul, what do you say?
Oh, good. Was it good morning or late night?
Whatever it is for you, right?
Well, it's the middle of the night. I remember the Saudi prince when I was in the Air Force in 87, 88. He used to fly F-15s out here at Luke.
Is that right?
When the prince came out there, normally the pilots had to walk from like the debriefing hangar there out to the aircraft. They would bring his armored car up to the door of the debriefing room and drive him out onto the flight line to right in front of that airplane.
Is that right?
Yeah.
He couldn't even
let him get up and get in there.
He couldn't even walk out there?
No, he would not. And as soon as they came back from the flight, that armored car was right there in front of that spot where he got out of there and he got into that armored car. And just to go, it may have been 50, 60 yards to the debriefing room there.
Wow. Yeah, well, Bandar was he was a playboy here in Washington, D.C., known as that, lived a pretty high life, and he was one of George Bush's best buddies.
Yeah,
they
called him Bandar Bush.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Bandar Bush, right, okay. All right, Paul, good to hear from you. Yes, indeed. Hey, just want to get back to the American political scene, domestic political scene, the American political scene here for just a second. Again, right after the debate, in fact, after the debate, Jeff Weaver, Bernie Sanders' campaign manager, joined us on the set at CNN, and I said to this was like half an hour after the debate, and I said to Jeff, so is Bernie in the air already? And Jeff says, well, he's not quite in the air yet, but he's on his way to the plane.
Oh, wow.
They had a charter flight waiting. He left the debate hall, went right to this charter flight, and took off for Rome.
That's crazy.
Where the next morning he gave a speech, invited to give a speech on the moral economy, on income inequality, where he made the point in that speech about too many people, all they care about is piling up all the money they can without caring for anybody else.
We have got to confront is the greed of people who are so much more concerned about their own billions than the future of the children and the future of our planet.
You've heard Bernie make that same statement before. And then, of course, the big question was, would he get to meet with Pope Francis? The Pope did not attend this colloquium on income inequality, but the next morning the Pope was leaving for Greece, and he sent word that he would love to meet with Senator Sanders before he took off for Greece early, 6 o'clock in the morning, Vatican time. The two got together, and Bernie said afterwards,
he's a beautiful man. He really is. There's a radiance. I don't mean to overdo this. I'm not a Catholic, but he is a beautiful man.
So the two of them had their little conversation, and Bernie came back, and he was back early Saturday afternoon, back on the campaign trail. I don't know. We haven't had. I wasn't here, so didn't have a chance to talk to you about the debate. I'm sure you did talk about it Friday morning with John Allen. I thought it was a great debate, and it was a substantive debate. Yeah, it got a little tense once in a while, but what the hell? It did not get nasty. It did not get ugly. It did not get personal. They have some real differences on the issues. Who won, who lost? Here's my answer to that. You tell me what issue you're talking about. I'll tell you who won and who lost.
Yeah.
On guns, I think Bernie lost. On the minimum wage, Hillary was all over the place. She could not have it both. She tried, She said, I've always been for raising the minimum wage, and but not to $15, just to $12. But I'll get on stage with Governor Cuomo and take credit for raising it for $15. I'm for raising it for $12, but I hope cities raise it to $15. I mean, she was just trying. And again, yesterday on, I think it was Meet the Press, one of the Sunday shows, the two of them both appeared. And it's pretty clear there's a difference on this minimum wage. Hillary says it's no big deal.
I know everybody wants to make this some kind of big contrast. Well, it isn't. You know, Bernie Sanders came out and said the legislation passed in New York was a model for the nation. And you know what that model is? That model is a phased-in minimum wage increase.
To $15, which she does not support. It's double talk. It's double talk on the minimum wage. Bernie, very clear.
She has, at the beginning of this campaign, said we need a $12 minimum wage. I have said at the very beginning of my campaign, we need to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. And that is kind of the difference between the way we do politics.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It really is. You know, Bernie, straight out. Here's what it is. Fracking, I'm against it. Period.
Yeah.
Hillary says, I think we can have it on certain conditions. We're not going to ban it. We're going to allow it, but it's got to be more tightly controlled or whatever. And Ben says, no. Bernie says, it's bad. I'm not going to have it. Minimum wage, Hillary says, I'm for 12. If people want to go to 15, that's okay with me, but I'm for 12. Why? I mean, what's it? I mean, seriously, it's a big difference if you're at the receiving end.
Right, that's what I was going to say. Like
12 and 15.
Yeah.
And for her, politically, why not? But I expected her to say, you know, I used to be for 12, now I'm for 15. No, she's stuck for 12. And Bernie just says 15 is a living wage, should be higher, but 15, not 12. Boom. And that's where he's been from the beginning. Right. So on that point, I thought, now, I'll tell you what's not helpful in New York. Here we go again. Former President Bill Clinton. He's out again on the campaign trail. Last week, he gets into the big fight with the Black Lives protesters, right? Accusing them of supporting murder, defending that they're for murder. They support murderers and violent crime. That's what the Black Lives protesters are all about, according to Bill Clinton. He later apologized for that. Well, yesterday, or over the weekend at least, he pokes fun at Bernie Sanders supporters, saying, here's what they want.
I think it's fine that all these young students have been so enthusiastic for our opponent and sound so good. Just shoot every third person on Wall Street and everything will be fine. But the truth is there are 50,000 fewer people there today. The Dodd-Frank Act is working.
Shoot every third person on Wall Street and everything will be just fine. I mean, why? I don't get it. Why even make a joke like that? I mean, it's not funny, and it says a lot, I think, about what he thinks about young people and what he thinks about young people and their enthusiasm for Bernie. I mean, they don't get it.
They don't get it. It's like there's been a lot of talking down to young voters in this election from the Clinton campaign, and you know, you can understand why young people, for a lot of reasons, would want to vote for Bernie Sanders. But like last week, there was Hillary said something about essentially, oh, they're young and
I feel sorry for them.
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 Because they believe his lies. And
right.
Now Bill Clinton says, yeah, what they want to do is shoot. Yeah, they did think if we shoot every third person on Wall Street. I got to tell you, look, if Hillary's the nominee, when this is over, you know, I'll be there 1,000%, and I will encourage young people to vote for her. But they are not making it any easier about these kind of comments. They really do. They put down, they talk down, they belittle young people. And in fact, one of those young organizers is going to join us at the top of the next hour from Greenpeace, the woman that Hillary accused of believing Bernie's lies. You know what I think they ought to do with the Bill Clinton car? Park it in the garage.
Yeah.
Park it in the garage and lower the garage door and keep that car in the garage until November the 8th. Elias Isquith from Salon Magazine standing by, his take on the day's news when we come back.
Connect with The Bill Press Show on Twitter. Follow us at BP Show and tweet using the hashtag WatchingBP. This is The Bill Press Show.
taught him how to hit a baseball.
Just like that. Say hi!
How to hit a receiver. The strike zone. The net. You taught him how to hit the upper corner. You even taught him how to hit the open man. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit?
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
I grew up in the housing projects of Cleveland. I didn't even know that life could be any better than it was. Education for me has been a way to get away from the agony of what was normal life. I want to be able to impact the community, not just look back on where I came from, but to reach back to where I came from and pull some people up with me. My name is David, and I am your dividend.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
12 minutes before the top of the hour. Yes, indeed, anticipation for the big New York primary tomorrow. The biggest pot of delegate gold we've had so far in the primary. And interesting that Bernie Sanders has made Hillary Clinton fight to win her home state. Battling out again today with the voting starting tomorrow. Elias Isquith, resident of New York State and executive editor at Cafe.com, joining us here on our newsline again this morning. Hello, Elias. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning. How's it going?
All right. So what did you think of the debate last week?
I thought it was pretty much what I expected in the sense that, I don't think it was quite like the slugfest that some people have described it as.
I don't either, by the way.
Yeah.
I said that on the air. The first word, right, they say, oh, it was a nasty debate. I said, I don't think it was nasty. It was a good, solid debate, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, it was combative, but also I think it makes sense at this point in the primary, and also it makes sense for kind of a New York audience and the vibe of the race here. It's been a little more kind of, robust, I guess you could say, than some other states. But anyway, I thought it was, Cafe.com, we did a video about the debate that I thought kind of spoke to our read on it, which is it's hard to see what is new that's getting brought up at this point. There's been so many debates, and the moderators are increasingly inclined to ask questions that don't have much to do with policy.
I'll tell you what was new.
Go ahead.
Which stunned me. Bernie Sanders' comments on Israel. Bibi Netanyahu is not always right.
You know what? You're totally right there. I wish that sort of in general foreign policy had more of an impact on how voters choose their candidates on these things. Because I think you're right. That was a really important moment, and it was a really exciting moment as someone, I count myself in that group, who feels we need a real reset with how we relate to Israel.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just sick and tired of politicians of both parties just pandering to Israel, right? You know, I mean, no foreign leader is right all the time, and no foreign country is right all the time, and that's just sort of been like the third rail of American politics, and maybe only a Jew could go there, right? But
yeah, I mean, that's definitely part of what made it. I'm Jewish, and that's part of what made it exciting for kind of liberal and people who want to reform in the way Israel's treating Palestinians. It was exciting for us. It was also exciting because when Senator Sanders first got in the race, it's exactly kind of moments like that people were hoping would come. Obviously, a lot more has come than that. But those are the kinds of spots that we were hoping Senator Sanders would say, I know what a politician who's just focused on winning would do here, and I'm just going to do something that I want to do instead.
Right. I thought that I can't believe Bernie doesn't have a better answer on guns by now. I mean, you're right, nothing new, but we heard that in the very first debate. I think it's a weak spot for him, and he just hasn't evolved at all, right, in his ability to respond to that. And I thought Hillary just looked so bad on the transcripts and on the minimum wage. There's no defense for not releasing those transcripts, unless she really did suck up to them, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, is there any doubt that's what it is? I mean, when people pay you hundreds of thousands of dollars, you don't show up and say, hey, the decor here is kind of lacking or whatever, Excuse me. So I think you're totally right. I mean, I think that's the reason. And I think that is it's kind of a fair hit in the sense that it's exactly that kind of going along to get along that people have found problematic. So it makes a lot of sense that the Sanders campaign is sort of staying on that note. And when it comes to Bernie with guns, I feel the same way, especially because even before things started getting heated and the campaign really started kind of happening in earnest, people were predicting that this was going to be an issue for him.
Yeah.
What is your read on why there isn't a better answer there?
I don't know, but I was thinking, it seems to me that all he has to say, I mean, I consider Bernie a friend, but I don't talk to him all the time, right? But I guess maybe I should call him and say he ought to say what Howard Dean said, right? Just look, Howard Dean had the same position. Howard Dean was bad on guns. Howard Dean became this very, very popular, right, grassroots political candidate. And after he was made chair of the Democratic National Committee, even though he's bad on guns, because Howard Dean just said, yeah, I represented my state of Vermont. I represent people of Vermont. Right?
I think Senator Sanders has tried to give that answer, and I don't know. I'm always hesitant to go into the kind of the theater criticism mode where it's because I'm tempted to start talking about affect, basically, because it can sort of seem like Senator Sanders is annoyed by those questions, and I think that somewhat blunts what he says in the beginning usually, which makes sense and is the right thing to say, where he understands how serious and horrible the consequences can be. But he, for whatever reason, he can't seem to thread the needle there.
Right. And I don't think it would hurt him in the general, but it certainly is not good. Not good in the primary. And tomorrow, the big vote. Hillary's got to win New York. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, even if she wins by just a little, it's going to be a lot of troublesome press for her. So she certainly has to win.
All right, Elias, always good to catch up with you. Thank you, my friend.
All right, thanks.
Cafe.com, Elias Isquith.
Your progressive headquarters for the 2016 election. This is The Bill Press Show.
For my 6th birthday, my grandpa gave me a Rubik's Cube. I'll always be able to remember its edges, hold it in my hands, heft the weight of an overwhelming problem. I remember him telling me about it, How Rubik's Cube has 43 quintillion, 252 quadrillion, 3 trillion, 274 billion, 489,856,000 possibilities. He told me it can be really confusing sometimes. But to look at the center squares as a reminder of what color each side should be. Shift. We're celebrating his 50th wedding anniversary. He and Grandma are dancing a dance that only fragile legs and wrinkled hands know how to. That type of happiness took him 70 years to earn. The white side of the cube is solved. Shift. He tells me about how he met Grandma. His college friends had a sunset picnic. She was there, as beautiful as an unsolved puzzle. She was a red-headed scramble on an orange tile sky. Shift. The walls of the hospital are blue. The nurses explain that his memories had become jumbled. Strangers in family portraits, pictures with mismatched faces. Alzheimer's has made his mind into a Rubik's Cube. Shift. He's a highway patrolman. His car is white. No, it's blue. He worked there for 30 years. Some nights he still does. Time is a complicated algorithm. Shift. The pills he holds are yellow and red and green. The weight of their color causes his hand to drop. I try to shift his tiles back into place, but people don't have center squares. His mind is a hospital bed divided by 0. Shift. My sister's wedding is white, but he doesn't know why. Shift. World War II is every color. The South Pacific is blue. The islands are green. There is so much red. Shift. Grandpa, table, cube, name, scramble, California, guitar, grapefruit highway, wedding bell, war, stick shift rifles, South Pacific mirrors, shift, 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 shift. The temperature of his hands is blue. Death is colorless. I will always remember his edges. Hold him in my hands, heft the weight of an overwhelming problem. I was unable to attend his funeral. I never found out the algorithm to solve him. A Rubik's Cube has over 43 quintillion possibilities. A casket only has one.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay, so who's gonna do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
So who's going to be the Republican nominee? Well, we don't know yet, but there's a big question of what happens if Donald Trump goes to the convention with the most delegates but didn't get to the magic number. There's a new NBC News Wall Street Journal poll that polled Republicans to find out who they think should be the nominee based on the delegates, and 62% of Republicans say that the one who has the most votes should be the nominee. 33% said that it's the best party standard bearer.
Mm-hmm. How unusual that the person who gets the most votes might actually win the election.
Wouldn't that be something?
Right? Otherwise known as President Al Gore.
This is the Bill Press Show.
For Mike Brown. I'm sick of writing this poem, but bring the boy. His new name, his same old body, ordinary black dead thing, bring him. And we will mourn until we forget what we are mourning. And isn't that what being black is about? Not the joy of it, but the feeling when you're looking at your child, turn your head, then poof, no more child. That feeling, that's black. Think, once a white girl was kidnapped, and that's the Trojan War. Later, up the block, Troy got shot, and that was Tuesday. Are we not worthy of a city of ash, of 1,000 ships launched because we are missed? I demand a war to bring the black boy back, no matter what his name is this time. I at least demand a song. A song will do. Or ahead.
You taught him how to hit a baseball.
Just like that. Say hi!
How to hit a receiver. The strike zone. The net. You taught him how to hit the upper corner. You even taught him how to hit the open man. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit?
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
I grew up in the housing projects of Cleveland. I didn't even know that life could be any better than it was. Education for me has been a way to get away from the agony of what was normal life. I want to be able to impact the community, not just look back on where I came from, but to reach back to where I came from and pull some people up with me. My name is David, and I am your dividend.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine, Virginia Tech,
Tucson,
Aurora,
Fort Hood, Oak Creek,
Newtown.
Newtown,
Newtown.
Newtown.
How many more?
How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough.
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 Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad. As a friend. As a husband.
As a wife.
As an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday. It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
It is tax day. Go out and pay your taxes with a smile. Just think what a great country you are helping support with those taxes. Hey, hello, everybody. It is Monday, April 18. Good to see you today. And welcome. Welcome to The Bill Press Show. We're here with you nationwide. Yep, you'll find us right here on our in our studio on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. But we're out there all across the country with you, right alongside of you on your radio, if you're listening on your local progressive talk radio station, and right alongside of you on your TV set if you're watching on Free Speech TV, coast to coast. Welcome to the program, and we look forward to hearing from you about the news of the day we'll be talking about. Give us a call at 866-55-PRESS. Send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show or on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. Beautiful day in Washington, D.C. Here, hope it is where you are as well. And our entire team assembled here, Peter Ogburn and Jamie Benson.
Thank you so much for having me.
Good to have you in here.
Arthur's tomorrow, Peter.
Oh, sorry. I always get confused.
Yes.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Welcome back.
All right. How about those Nats? They lost yesterday, but otherwise, they've been doing pretty well, huh, man?
They're really,
Phenomenal
really good.
Opening.
They're really, really good.
It's the first time Bryce Harper has hit 4 straight games with a home run.
He hit one into the bathroom the other night. Did you see that?
His 100th home run was a grand slam.
I was there for that. It was
that
amazing.
Right?
Yeah, it was great.
Unbelievable. Ray Rogers is here to take your calls at 866-55-PRESS. Cyprian was here a little earlier. Monty Kensler's got the job as videographer today. And we're very pleased to welcome to the program a young woman who made history and became a worldwide celebrity just a couple of weeks ago. Eva Resnick Day from Greenpeace.
Thank you so much for having me here today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, great to see you. Thanks for coming in. Right. We, by the way, we'll get to Bernie Sanders and his position on taking fossil fuel money, and Hillary's position, too, which you exposed to the world. But Bernie, we saw a very unusual side of Bernie yesterday. One of his big supporters has been the rapper Killer Mike.
Yeah.
So the Coachella Music Festival took place over the weekend. Killer Mike and the Run the Jewels.
That's it.
Performing. And Bernie, of all people, introduced the band. Here he is. Did a little video, of course.
One of the highlights of running for president over the course of this last year has been getting to know Killer Mike. His depth of passion, his knowledge and commitment to community is an inspiration to me, and I value his friendship immensely. By the way, I thought the least I could do for both of you was to help you out by bringing a few young people together. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my friends, Run the Jewels.
Nice.
That's great.
Isn't that great for Bernie?
That's awesome.
I know, you don't think of him in that role, right?
Presidential candidate, senator, and hype man. It's pretty great.
Can you see, man, if Bernie wins at the inaugural, right?
If Run the Jewels performs
Run the Jewels
at the
will
inaugural,
perform at the presidential inaugural.
that would be amazing.
That would be
Making history.
Yeah.
Right, indeed. So Eva here with us for the first half hour. And then, yes, the legendary Ben and Jerry, the two of them, in studio with some Bernie's Yearning. Bernie's Yearning ice cream. And then Wayne Pacelli from the Humane Society up in the next hour. But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
Just a couple of other stories making news. Quote, marijuana is medicine and it's coming to Pennsylvania. End quote. That is what Democratic Senator Dalen Leach had to say yesterday as the governor of Pennsylvania, Tom Wolf, signed a bill into law that made medical marijuana legal in the state of Pennsylvania. It is the 24th state to actually get a comprehensive medical marijuana program. And it just happened yesterday, so it's going to start rolling out. They set standards for tracking plants, certifying physicians, licensing growers, dispensaries, and physicians, and they're going to allow patients to take it in pill, oil, vapor, ointment, or liquid form. But you are not able to smoke or grow pot unless you are a grower.
So you live in Pittsburgh, Eva, right?
Yeah, this is my home state, so it's going to be a little different when I get home.
Yes, it will.
Yeah,
yes,
but this is good. But I'm telling you, medical marijuana is so last century.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's like the base level.
The base,
I mean,
lowest
come
level.
on, Pennsylvania, get in the 21st century here. Huh?
We're pretty slow on a lot of things.
Apple versus the Justice Department. Remember, that was a whole big thing when the Justice Department was trying to get Apple to uncrack or crack
Then they said, well, we don't need you after all. We can do it on our own.
That's right. That ended up after the big fight. The FBI eventually just said, we figured out how to do it on our own. Well, a new story from CBS says that law enforcement has found, quote, nothing of real significance, end quote, on the phone of the shooter, Syed Farouk. This is the phone that was in question.
After all that.
After all of that, turns out there was really nothing there. So, a lot of bluster, not a big payoff.
Glad we had that big crisis.
Yeah, right. And the Tennessee Titans, they play their football games in Nissan Stadium, and when it's not football season, they do this thing where they have family movie night. And this happened over the weekend. Saturday night, they invite families, parents, and kids to camp out on the field and watch movies, which is pretty cool. So they all had all these parents and kids come in, set up tents and camps, and lay down to watch Minions, but they forgot to turn the sprinkler system off.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
How many people you think are there for that?
That's a good question. There were, they don't have an actual number in the story that I'm reading, but there were a lot of people there. I mean, it was a full field of families.
Oh, God.
And it just hosed them down in the middle of the movie on Saturday night.
Wow.
Yeah.
Heads will roll.
Yeah,
not
good.
Good. Thank you, Peter. So, Eva, you are with Greenpeace as a democracy organizer, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the democracy organizer campaign all about for Greenpeace?
Yes.
We think of Greenpeace as, the boats, save the whales, interfering with the Japanese whalers. I love Greenpeace. Always been a big supporter of Greenpeace, but this is a fairly new project.
Yeah, it's very new. So our number one thing that Greenpeace is focused on right now is fighting climate change. As we all know here, it's extremely serious. It's a national security issue, and we're not moving as fast as we need to in order to tackle climate change. And after decades of work, Greenpeace and other environmental organizations realized we're never going to get the legislation that we need. We're never going to be able to take deep, meaningful action unless we fix our democracy so it works for the people and it isn't flooded with money from the fossil fuel interests that are making our Republicans say that climate change doesn't even exist when all of the science is very clear and it's happening right now to people here in America, across the world. So we've really dug in to fix our democracy so that we can take real action.
And how are you going about it?
Yeah, so one of the tools that we're using right now is we launched a pledge to fix democracy with 20 other organizations asking all candidates to reject fossil fuel money in their campaigns, but also to champion voting rights and restore the vote for all and enact campaign finance reform and talk about that along the trail.
Okay, so you put out this pledge for presidential candidates, both parties?
Both parties, asked everyone.
Okay, and for Senate candidates and...
Down ballot, even mayors, all the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're sending people out to I wouldn't say confront, but to meet these candidates at events, right?
Yeah.
First of all, you circulated the pledge and asked them if they would sign it.
Yeah, we asked in all the
stick-
formal, nice ways first.
Okay, let's stick to good. Let's stick to the presidential candidates.
Yeah.
Among the Democrats, who signed the pledge?
So right away, Bernie Sanders signed the pledge in O'Malley when he was in the race. And Secretary Clinton, she responded saying she supports overturning Citizens United and has been a leader in climate, but did not sign the pledge.
Did not sign the pledge. Among Republicans, did anybody sign it?
Nope, no one even acknowledged that we asked them, which was expected.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, so you don't have a response. You don't have a signature, at any rate, from Hillary Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
So on April 7, just 11 days ago, you show up at a Hillary event at SUNY Purchase College in New York.
Yep.
And here is that little exchange.
Climate change. Will you act on your words and reject fossil fuel money in the future in your campaign?
I do not. I have money from people who work for fossil fuel companies. I am so sick. I am so sick of the Sanders campaign lying about me. I'm sick of it.
She is so sick of the Sanders campaign lying about this. Well, first of all, did you expect to get that kind of reaction from her?
No, so I've been working on this campaign for a while, since New Hampshire and before that, and we've asked this exact question on the campaign trail a half dozen times, and we've never gotten a reaction like that before at all.
I mean, it looked like, I saw the video too. I mean, she was really pissed at you.
Yeah, she was. She wasn't happy that I was asking that question.
Yeah. She didn't really answer the question, did she?
No, she didn't. So that, there wasn't actually an accusation in my question. I was just asking her to not take fossil fuel money in the future in her campaign. So not even give money back. But yeah, she was not happy for me to ask that question.
Now, so what she says, she's tired of the Sanders campaign lying about this. Is it a lie to say that she has taken fossil fuel money?
Absolutely not. So she was pointing out that she hasn't directly taken money from fossil fuel corporations because that's illegal. True. And then in the video, you saw that she said she only took money from employees of the fossil fuel industry. And that's certainly a part of what she takes, but is not everything. So what we're actually referring to...
So was she lying?
She was telling a half-truth and ignoring the larger truth, which is that she has taken about $1.4 million from registered fossil fuel lobbyists directly, and them bundling money for her campaign. And that's the bigger issue we see.
And her PAC, the Super PAC, has taken corporate money.
Yeah,
right?
$4.5 million, actually. So a much larger sum in the Super PAC.
Right. Now, what I hear, right, I'm a Sanders supporter, and I go on CNN, and so the response that I hear from the Clinton people is, well, number one, we took $300,000 and some from people who work for utilities, and Bernie Sanders took like $54,000, something like that, in that range, right? Yeah. And so no big deal. Mm-hmm. But your pledge didn't talk about people who just happen to work for a utility, right?
Yeah, executives, but not the individuals. That's not really what we're going after here. We're talking about lobbyists whose job it is to find access, sit down with candidates, and influence their policy for the organizations they work with. And in the case of the fossil fuel industry, that means continuing burning fossil fuels and continuing a system that is terrible for our people and poisoning our people across the U.S.
And the other response that I've heard from spokespeople for the Clinton campaign is, well, the lobbyists, they bundled all this money, but they didn't raise it all. So is there a limit? Is it 50? What is it? The limit that they can bundle?
The individual limit is $2,700,
right.
But when they're bundling money,
there's no limit.
I
guess.
I don't think there's a limit.
So the response is, but they're bundling money, but it's not all coming from the fossil fuel industry. To which my response is, but they're the lobbyists for the fossil fuel industry, and they're the one that gets the credit for bundling the money.
Absolutely.
I mean, if I go out and raise $100,000 from all of my friends, I get the credit. They don't get the credit. I mean, they're listed on my list, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm working for, let's say, I'm working for Duke Energy or something, right? Yeah. Then me, Duke Energy, I raise that money, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the way the system works.
Yeah, and I think that's true. And I think what's really important is sure, you might not take that much, and if you can continue to say that, but then why won't you take a stand against the fossil fuel industry and say, I won't take this money? We have a huge crisis that we're facing, and the next 4 to 8 years could determine the future of the human species. And if you're taking that seriously, you should be able to be a leader and stand up and say, I don't want money that's continuing that system.
All right, here's the question then, okay, which is, can you name any cases or examples where Hillary Clinton, having taken this money, has actually been soft on the fossil fuel industry or has taken positions, because she's been pretty strong on climate change, saying she really thinks it's a serious problem. We have to do something about it.
Yeah.
What's your evidence that she might have been influenced by the fossil fuel companies?
Yeah, so her
Is there any?
rhetoric, in running for office right now has been pretty strong on climate. But if you look at her, what she was doing as Secretary of State, she helped start the global shale gas initiative that went around the world to sell the world to fracking and make sure that we are fracking all around the world. And that is in the natural gas industry, which she thinks is a bridge fuel, is actually where the most new carbon dioxide is coming for right now. So that's a position we can't take if we want to stop fossil fuels and tackle climate change. Before she was running for office and before hundreds of environmentalists asked her over and over again on the trail about the Keystone XL pipeline, she was there working with TransCanada to make sure that that was passed through the state. So if you actually look at her record, there's a lot of things that are problematic if we're actually trying to stop burning as much fossil fuels in the U.S.
Eva Resnick-Day is with us from Greenpeace. She is the woman who asked Hillary Clinton the explosive question about would you agree not to take money from the fossil fuel industry. She's here in studio with us telling us all about it. Fair question, fair response. 866-55-PRESS is the toll-free number. Give us a call. We'll be right back.
Get social with Bill Press. Like us at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. This is the Bill Press Show.
You taught him how to hit a baseball.
Just like that. Say hi!
How to hit a receiver. The strike zone. The net. You taught him how to hit the upper corner. You even taught him how to hit the open man. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit?
Calls me googly eyes.
You know you're beautiful, right? You know that?
Even you are beautiful. I got bullied for wearing glasses. Share if you're against bullying.
We put it out there, just took off. 3 million people have shared this post. Don't let bullies get you down. I stand with you. Our whole family's wearing glasses. I wear glasses and I'm proud.
I even have the army on my team.
All the kind comments brought my child joy. I don't feel thank you is enough.
That's
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, And then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
I grew up in the housing projects of Cleveland. I didn't even know that life could be any better than it was. Education for me has been a way to get away from the agony of what was normal life. I want to be able to impact the community, not just look back on where I came from, but to reach back to where I came from and pull some people up with me. My name is David, and I am your dividend.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Here we go now at 26 minutes after the hour. Ben and Jerry. Yes, the Ben and Jerry coming up next at the half hour. Eva Resnick-Day is here with us right now from Greenpeace. Greenpeace.org. Great organization. Deserves your full support for everything that you're doing, especially this democracy campaign. So, Eva, did Hillary scare you away? I mean, are you going to just basically drop the whole issue right now?
No, I mean, this is a fight for our future, right? So whatever candidate it might be in office in November, I want to make sure that they're not beholden to the fossil fuel industry and that they're beholden to the people. So we are going to continue asking Hillary and all candidates to reject this fossil fuel money in the campaign.
Right. Even the Republican campaign.
Even the Republicans. We don't expect great results from them, but we'll try.
Right. What would you like to see Congress do?
Yeah.
Let's say we have a Democratic Senate, maybe even a Democratic House and a Democratic president. What's the first big step?
Yeah, so Senator Sanders and a number of others introduced legislation that's called the Keep It in the Ground legislation. That's saying, we should ban fossil fuel extraction on all public lands. It shouldn't be the government that's selling offshore oil. They shouldn't be leasing land to be fossil fuel industry extraction. So I think that's a strong step, just not getting our government out of the process of actually leasing land for fossil fuel extraction, and taking a stronger stance against fracking and enacting real climate change legislation. Right now the Clean Power Plan is being attacked, and it wasn't even that strong for the environment.
Right, yeah.
We just need to be bolder.
Now, I just want to be sure that people understand the numbers that you use on how much money the Clinton campaign has raised from industry and their PAC, from industry lobbyists and companies and individuals, is all based on their own financial reports, right? You didn't make this up, is what I'm trying to say.
Nope, solely facts.
These are their reports as publicized by the Center for Responsive Politics, and that's the basis. That's the source of your numbers, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Listen, I think you are doing great work. Thank you. Keep it going.
I will.
Give them hell. And thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
The most important issue on this planet right now is to protect and conserve biodiversity in the world's oceans. And I don't think people realize just how intimate our connection is with the oceans themselves. Not only do they provide the very foundation of life and control our weather, but life just simply could not exist without a healthy ocean. The real problem, though, is apathy. It's all out of sight, it's all out of mind, and and people don't even think about it. But it doesn't matter whether you live in Peoria or on the coast. The fact is, whatever happens in the ocean affects all life forms on the planet Earth. If the oceans die, then civilization collapses. We all die. We cannot live on this planet without the oceans. This is, in fact, not the planet Earth. It's the planet ocean, but because we're a land-dwelling species, we refer to it as Earth. But it is the planet ocean, and the oceans are the heart and the foundation of all life on the planet.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where the ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine, Virginia Tech,
Tucson,
Aurora,
Fort Hood, Oak Creek,
Newtown.
Newtown,
Newtown.
Newtown.
How many more?
How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough.
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 Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad. As a friend. As a husband.
As a wife.
As an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan.
No more lists of names.
It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday. It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 Help keep all the presidential candidates straight with your progressive headquarters for the 2016 election. This is The Bill Press Show.
Hey, here we go now. 33 minutes after the hour, the studio has been taken over. We are no longer in control here. It is the Bill Press Show. But you might as well call it the Ben and Jerry Show because, yes, they are here, Ben and Jerry, the Ben and Jerry, with their paraphernalia. Those of you watching on Free Speech TV, how can you miss it? There it is. I've never seen a political poster like this.
Put them up in lights.
You put them up in lights.
You know, they're actually
Bernie,
available on
2016.
Etsy.com. You can get your very own. We sell them at our cost, made by volunteers in Burlington, Vermont.
Get out. And where do you find them?
Etsy.com. Etsy, E-T-S-Y, Etsy.com. Get hip, get cool, man. That's the marketplace.
It is. All right. Etsy.com.
Yeah, search for lighted Bernie sign.
Search for lighted Bernie sign. You can get one like that. And they're made by volunteers in
Burlington, Vermont.
Right.
Sold at cost.
Ben and Jerry, both of you, welcome back to the studio here.
What's happening, brother? Good to see you, Bill.
You tell me what's happening.
Man, what? You're still asleep. What's going on? You know, it's 7 o'clock in the morning.
I know. Wake
Rise
up.
and shine, baby. Rise and shine.
Do you always have to deal with this, Jerry?
It sounds
when
like
you
Ben's
move
taking
around?
over the show. It's not Ben and Jerry. It's Ben.
Ben taking over the show. All right.
I feel that you're inspirational, Bill. You know, I wasn't like this until I walked into your office, man. This is a groovy place to be.
I've never seen Ben like this, actually.
Is that right? All right. All right.
It was those M&Ms.
So, how about Bernie and the Pope? Wasn't that great?
Yeah, it's
You
great.
know?
Well, I mean, you know, it's a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
I mean, they're singing out of the same prayer book.
But I mean, of all, some people say, "Oh, why is he leaving New York? Why is he?" To be invited by the Vatican to come give a speech on income inequality. I mean, think of all 350 million Americans. He's the one that was invited, right?
Yeah.
Because that's his baby. It's his issue.
Yeah.
He's authentic on it. He's been talking about it forever, and
absolutely.
Yeah. And I read that speech. It was a beautiful speech. Could have been written by Pope Francis. actually.
Right.
Yeah. So, have you been on the road, Jerry, with Ben? With Bernie. Yeah.
Well, Ben and I are all in for Bernie, as you probably know. So we've been campaigning this season. We were in New Hampshire, Iowa, Minnesota, Massachusetts. We were just in New York City. We were in Albany on Friday. Anything we can do, because we've never had a candidate like Bernie before.
Would you be for Bernie if you weren't from Vermont?
Absolutely. It's just coincidence. You know, being from Vermont, we've been lucky enough to see Bernie firsthand and to have him represent us for over 35 years. So, we know just how authentic he is, how unwavering he has been in those years, working for seniors, for veterans, for college students, for working families.
Yeah. What do you say, Ben, to the rap, right, that we hear all the time from the Clinton campaign? Is Bernie just talks big, but no idea how he could get things done. No idea how to deliver. All he does is throw things out there. He has no idea. Right.
Well,
I mean, you've seen him in action.
I think the reality is that Bernie is the only one who has a chance of getting things done, because he understands that we're not going to accomplish any significant change inside the Beltway, that it's got to be a mass movement of millions of people. And that's what's going to move Congress. And anybody who thinks that Hillary is going to be able to get the Republicans to do whatever she's trying to do, whatever little fiddling around the margin she's trying to do, just needs to look at the history of the obstruction.
So when he's talking about a political revolution, I mean, he really means it, right?
He absolutely means it. Well, he understands that the reality is that the only force that's stronger than money is large numbers of people working together. And he is the only presidential candidate who can pull together those millions of people. Because he's inspiring. When you talk about the so-called enthusiasm gap,
right.
He's generating all that public support that's needed to overcome the moneyed interest in Congress. And she's never going to have anything like that.
And I mean, he talks about the way to get things done is that you can't. And I've heard him say this. He'll never do this he'll never be able to do this stuff on his own.
Exactly.
Right? What he needs is that all of us, right? We get him elected. Then we just have to keep the pressure on the Congress. And
right. Then
so you look out at the wall. You look at the on the mall, you don't see 10,000 Tea Party people there. You see 100,000 progressives from around the country saying, climate change, get it done. Immigration reform, right? Get it done. Minimum wage, get it done.
Yeah, well, and the beauty of this is that once Bernie is in the White House and we all come to Washington to help him out, we're going to have the good porta potties.
That's something to look forward to.
You bet. I've seen those good porta potties. They're white. They got running water. I mean, it's classic.
And by the way, and then the other flip side of that is, I'm just reaching here for a copy of my book that Bernie...
Oh, did you write a book?
The famous book that Bernie did the blurb for, where he says that the president... I just want to read his blurb again, because so the people have to rally behind the president to get things done. And Bernie says... Bill Press, my name, makes the case why, long after taking the oath of office, the next president of the United States must keep rallying the people who elected him or her on behalf of progressive causes. So the president's got to be out there, like on the using the bully pulpit, saying, "Come on, people, I need your help. You got to come down."
That's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
He needs to go
That's
past
the political revolution.
He needs to go past Congress, direct to the people.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, what Bernie says is getting him elected is only the first step.
Yes.
That's not when our work is done. That's when our work begins. But of course, the first thing is to get Bernie elected. And you asked about Ben and me traveling around. We run into people all over the country who love what Bernie says. They love what he's doing. They're not out working for him. And people need to be out working for Bernie. They need to be making phone calls. They need to be canvassing. You got to vote. It's not enough to just love what Bernie says.
Here's what drives me crazy. All the time, friends of mine say, my heart's with Bernie.
Right. I mean,
but my head has got to be with Hillary because it's Bernie's it's impossible. But
what so crazy? What absurdity! Finally, you have a presidential candidate who's there representing everything you believe in, and you say, "Well, I'm not going to vote for him." I mean,
well, so here's another thing about coming from Vermont. Is that we know Bernie gets elected. All the political pundits and experts say Bernie doesn't have a chance. They said it the first time that he ran for mayor in Burlington when he won by 10 votes. They said it when he ran for Congress against a much more well-funded person, and he won for Congress. They say it when he runs for Senate. And not only does Bernie get elected, he gets reelected. So it's not one of these things where he can't get elected. When people come out and work for Bernie and vote for Bernie, he gets elected.
And he gets things done, as he's gotten done. Now, I've got to get to this. So we have this little, here it is. This little carrier here.
Yeah,
and inside of it, a pint of Bernie's Yearning.
One of the 45 pints in creation.
Wow. What?
You have it right here in your studio.
In my hand? Oh, my God. Bernie's Yearning, Vermont's finest senator. And I love it says, there's a great picture of Bernie. Open joyfully. Political revolution inside. That is great.
So Ben personally made each one of those individual Bernie's Yearning pints in his kitchen. That's right.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, right in my kitchen.
You only made 45 of them?
Just 45. Ben's Best doesn't have really big production facilities.
So this was never marketed? I mean, in your shops, right? Or no?
No, it's not a Ben & Jerry's flavor. It's a Ben's Best flavor.
Got it. Whoa. Is this it? When these 45 are gone?
That's about it. Somebody could. Well, we did recently. What we discovered was that, when you eat the pint, it's a participatory pint. You need to mix some stuff around. Yeah. In order to mix the stuff around, you really need a bowl. So I got together with some Potter friends, and we created Bernie's bowls to mix Bernie's
Yearning in.
But then we kind of distributed them via a drawing and different ways, and then we realized that people would have the bowls, but they wouldn't have any Bernie's Yearning to put in it. So we said, if you get a bowl and you don't have any Bernie's Yearning, I'll make another.
You'll make another patch, right? All right. Yeah. So there are eating instructions on this. So maybe while we take a break, we can prepare it and enjoy it. Is that?
Yeah, sure.
Eating instruction: take back of spoon and whack the huge chocolate disc into lots of little pieces. Let the ice cream soften a bit. Mix the pieces around, and there you have it. Bernie's Yearning. All right.
Yeah, because the big chocolate disc on top represents all the money that's gone to the top 1%. over the last 10 years.
Boy, there's a lot of meaning in this little pint of ice cream, isn't there?
As Jerry says, it's the epitome of my flavor creation career.
It's the zenith.
The zenith. The acme.
I like it. All right, if that doesn't make you hungry, I don't know what does. So we'll take a break and we'll come back with Ben and Jerry and Bernie's Yearning. Whoa.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
You taught him how to hit a baseball. Just like that. How to hit a receiver. The strike zone. The net. You taught him how to hit the upper corner. You even taught him how to hit the open man. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit?
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
I grew up in the housing projects of Cleveland. I didn't even know that life could be any better than it was. Education for me has been a way to get away from the agony of what was normal life. I want to be able to impact the community, not just look back on where I came from, but to reach back to where I came from and pull some people up with me. My name is David, and I am your dividend.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
Streaming live video right now at youtube.com/TawkrTV. That's TAWKR-TV. This is The Bill Press Show.
All right, 12 minutes now before the top of the hour. Here we are on this Monday, April 18, live from Washington, D.C. with Ben and Jerry in town for the big mass protest called Democracy Awakening. It's going to be a whole week of a protest. Your goal is to get arrested this week somehow?
Yeah, we're going to be arrested today.
Today?
Yeah,
right.
this very day. This
Directly after here.
This might be the last you've seen of old Ben and Jerry for a while. Come visit us in jail.
Putting it on the line. And by the way, outside of our studio, this is a whole happening, folks. Is the Ben and Jerry's ice cream truck, all lined up with word about voting rights, because that's what you're doing this campaign, particularly in North Carolina, to make sure everybody has access to the polls and they don't are not able to cut into people's ability to get out and vote. It's out in front of the truck. We'll put up some video while we're talking of the ice cream truck in front of the studio. Giving away free ice cream down there? No, or
no,
they've been doing it this weekend.
They gave away free ice cream to all the marchers.
Now we want to get to Bernie's ring. The other thing I noticed, I was told during the break, is that this pint, one of 45, this is number 34. It's like a rare book.
It's very rare.
So many numbers, you got the number on.
I want to know how Ben made 45 when you make 4 at a time. How does 4 go into 45?
But tell me, tell us about the significance of this. Every
well, this is essentially
symbolic, right?
mint chocolate chip ice cream, except somehow or other, all the chips have ended up on the top.
This sounds
familiar. That represents all the money that's been created since the end of the recession that somehow or other ended up in the pockets of the 0.1%. And the way you eat it is you take your soup spoon and you whack it. You whack that big chocolate disc on the very top. And then you mix it around and you put that chocolate, put all that wealth back into the hands of the people who created it.
So you distribute
and
the
there
wealth.
You have it.
You know, Ben put a lot of thought into this, right? I mean, people think Ben, he's just an ice cream guy, thinks of big chunks of cookies.
I'm deep, man.
Oh, Ben's got a lot going
deep.
on. He's got a lot of profundity.
So you're putting out your plate. You want your share, don't you?
That's right.
There you go. All right.
I'm part of the 99%, and I've been waiting. I've been waiting
for
a long time.
So
for my chunk.
The other thing about this
Here you go,
flavor,
Jerry. There you go. I don't think I've ever had ice cream so early in the day.
The International Association of Ice Cream Manufacturers has been trying to get people to eat ice cream for breakfast for decades. It is just as nutritious as sugar cereal and milk.
Right. All right. Well, better.
And it's
better.
more fun. You eat ice cream at the beginning of the day, you end up starting your day very enthusiastically.
So, Ben...
Comme moi.
Ben created some of the most iconic flavors at Ben & Jerry's. He made New York Super Fudge Chunk. He made Fish Food. He made Cherry Garcia, Rainforest Crunch. But Bernie's Yearning is the pinnacle of Ben's creativity in concept flavors at Ben & Jerry's.
So it has been asked by the way, Cherry Garcia, I have to tell you, my all-time favorite.
Thank you for your consumption, sir.
Glad to oblige. But it has been asked by Senator Barbara Boxer whether you're going to make a Hillary flavor. Not that you have to, but...
I saw Senator Boxer a few weeks ago when I was here in Washington doing some lobbying around mandatory GMO labeling. And Barbara Boxer's been very, very supportive of that. She came up with an idea for a Hillary flavor. I can't quite remember what it was. And, as Ben has said, there's really only one candidate who has been so inspiring that, we want to spend time using our precious brain power making a flavor for. And that's fair. Bernie, of course. Yeah.
Colbert came up with a Hillary flavor. Any flavor you want me to be.
So maybe it's better that you not make one. All right. Do you feel good about tomorrow in New York for Bernie?
You betcha.
Yeah.
If people get out there and vote, that's the key. Get out and vote. Get on Bernie's website. Do the phone canvassing. Do the in-person canvassing. The reality is that if everybody who believes in Bernie votes for Bernie, he's going to win.
He says that all the time, and he's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Where he focuses on the state and whips people up, and then when the people follow through by coming out to vote, Bernie wins.
When there's a big turnout.
Yeah.
And that's what we need, a big turnout for New York.
All right. Guys, so, will you come back? Keep coming back. You inspire me.
Good chowing down with you, bro.
Right.
Yeah.
Etsy.com.
Etsy.com. Lighter Bernie sign at our car.
And that's your very own sign, Bill.
Is that right?
We're going to leave that here for you.
All right, good. We're going to keep this. We're going to keep this up in the studio. God, I can't tell you how much fun it is to have you guys. Thank you for coming in.
Great to be here.
And Ben and Jerry's on every corner. Just go out there and support Ben and Jerry's.
Well, and don't forget about the Democracy Awakening thing.
Yeah.
They're related because the heart of Bernie's campaign is getting money out of politics, and that's what Democracy Awakening is about.
That's what Democracy Awakening is all about. And if you guys need somebody to bail you out later in the day, I'm around.
All right.
All right. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, hour number 3 coming up. And remember, on Free Speech TV, you got a little delay. You'll pick us up at 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 Central, 2 Pacific on Free Speech TV. But you can watch that third hour right away on TawkrTV, youtube.com/TawkrTV. We're going to be meeting with some good labor leaders from out in Chicago at the top of the hour, rather. And then Wayne Pacelli, head of the Humane Society of America, one of my favorite Americans, doing great work on animal rights, will be here in studio with us to bring us up to date on that front. So hour number 3, stay around. Lots coming up.
Calls me googly eyes.
You know you're beautiful, right? You know that?
Even you are beautiful. I got bullied for wearing glasses. Share if you're against bullying.
We put it out there, just took off. 3 million people have shared this post. Don't let bullies get you down. I stand with you. My whole family's wearing glasses. I wear glasses and I'm proud.
I even have the army on my team.
All the kind comments brought my child joy. I don't feel thank you is enough.
Thanks.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, boy, I got to tell you, totally lost control of that half hour with Ben and Jerry. What great fun. When we come back, we're going to talk about a little more of the campaign from a perspective of labor unions and what they're doing in this 2016 campaign with the good friends from Chicago from Roofers Local number 11. And then Wayne Pacelli from the National Humane Society down at the White House. President Obama has meetings at the White House all day today. Nothing special.
This
we'll be right back with
is
hour
the
number
Bill
3.
Press Show.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Calls me googly eyes.
You know you're beautiful, right? You know that?
Even you are beautiful. I got bullied for wearing glasses. Share if you're against bullying.
We put it out there, just took off. 3 million people have shared this post. Don't let bullies get you down. I stand with you. My whole family's wearing glasses. I wear glasses and I'm proud.
I even have the army on my team.
All the kind comments brought my child joy. I don't feel thank you is enough.
Thanks.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
I wanted to find a bank with a purpose. I wanted to find a place that would take my money and not use it to cause the financial crisis, but to fix the financial crisis and to help end income inequality.
The people that we employ are usually clients right off the streets. They don't have an account, but Amalgamated is willing to get that started for them.
Their reputation supporting the working man, I think, speaks for itself. This is a bank that cares for their customers, and I appreciate that.
We were able to access a construction loan through the bank's programs, and that loan has helped us house 28 families in the community.
Amalgamated is a bank that was started for and about working people.
Many of our customers have a deep commitment to advocating for social and economic justice. We share that commitment, and we're not afraid to stand up and say that we need to change some of the way that the country does business.
I grew up in the housing projects of Cleveland. I didn't even know that life could be any better than it was. Education for me has been a way to get away from the agony of what was normal life. I want to be able to impact the community, not just look back on where I came from, but to reach back to where I came from and pull some people up with me. My name is David, and I am your dividend.
The most important issue on this planet right now is to protect and conserve biodiversity in the world's oceans. And I don't think people realize just how intimate our connection is with the oceans themselves. Not only do they provide the very foundation of life and control our weather, but life just simply could not exist without a healthy ocean. The real problem, though, is apathy. It's all out of sight, it's all out of mind, and people don't even think about it. But it doesn't matter whether you live in Peoria or on the coast. The fact is, whatever happens in the ocean affects all life forms on the planet Earth. If the oceans die, then civilization collapses. We all die. We cannot live on this planet without the oceans. This is, in fact, not the planet Earth. It's the planet ocean, but because we're a land-dwelling species, we refer to it as Earth. But it is the planet ocean, and the oceans are the heart and the foundation of all life on the planet.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
To get in the way before it happens.
To get a friend home safe.
And to not blame the victim.
It's on us.
To look out for each other.
To
not look the other way.
It's on us to stand up.
To step in.
To take responsibility.
It's on us, all of us,
to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
All right, this is the day. It is tax day, April 18. Get them in before midnight and pay your taxes with a smile. Think of all the great country that you're helping support, all those great national parks, those great highways, and our great military. Be proud to be an American. Pay your taxes, damn it. Don't complain about it. My attitude. Hello, everybody. It is Monday, April 18th. So good to see you today. This is the Bill Press Show. We are booming out to you live from Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. Here with you all across the country on the radio, on your local progressive talk radio station, and also here with you coast to coast on Free Speech TV. You can also watch this worldwide on our video stream. TawkrTV, youtube.com/Tawker, TAWKR-TV. It's a big Monday, a beautiful day in Washington, D.C. Hope it is wherever you happen to be in this great land also. And we've got lots to talk about. One day before the New York primary, and today is the day the Supreme Court will be hearing the opening oral arguments, on immigration and whether President Obama's executive orders on immigration went too far. Carol and I were out for a little power walk on the mall yesterday, coming back past the Supreme Court. This was 10 o'clock Sunday morning, and there are already people camped out, lining up to be able to get into the courtroom this morning to hear those oral arguments. Some of them had been there overnight Saturday night, and by the time they're there overnight Saturday night and Sunday night, and walk into the courtroom Monday morning, I don't know what they smell like, but at least they might get a seat. So we have lots to talk about today. Good to have you with us. You know the telephone number. 866-55-PRESS is our toll-free number. Or you can send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show or on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. And all the way from Chicago, good friends, sponsors of our Bill Press Show on WCPT out in Chicago. We're very pleased to welcome in the studio this morning here for a big building trades conference in Washington this week. Gary Menzel, who is
business manager with
business
Local
manager.
11, yes.
Okay, all right. You're not the president.
I am.
Oh, all right. Okay.
I carry that title too.
That too. I was going to say.
And then in the election this year, I'll be the financial secretary too. So.
Good Lord. Wow. 3 hats, Gary. All right.
Yeah.
President of the Roofers and Waterproofers Local 11 out in Chicago, joined also by business agent Jeff Eppenstein, also with the Roofers and Waterproofers Local 11. Welcome, guys.
Hey, thanks, Bill.
Thanks for coming in. We had a great visit to Chicago about a month ago. I'm just going to get that microphone a little bit closer. So we saw some of your colleagues there, but didn't get to see you.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're out of town that week.
All right. Well, it was nice of you to stop by here in Washington. What do you see? How important is this election? I mean, they say, we all say every election is the most important one. Every 4 years we seem to say that. But there is a lot at stake at this time, Gary, right?
Oh, this one's pivotal for us with the Supreme Court in balance here. So, we're doing everything we can to get the membership to understand how far the country can swing left. If we can win this election, we will take this country back from Republicans and back from the rich. There, we can get it to swing our way for the working class people. It's very important right now.
Do you find your members, Jeff, up to date? They following the election? They're into it?
When you talk to a lot of the younger ones here in apprentice class and at the union meetings, you do see that the younger guys seem to have their finger on the pulse here, what's going on. Some of the older members that are out there, they kind of stick to one or two issues, and you can't seem to sway them away from those issues. But I am hopeful that the youth out there is sharper than a lot of us were at that age, and I think there's a lot of good hope out there.
What are the issues they care about?
The issues that the younger generation care about is for one, we have a large Hispanic membership, and so some of the things that are concerns to them is obviously the immigration. Some of the other things is actually work rules and safety on job sites. So these are things that they pay attention to. I don't know if they're tied into so much of what's going on with corporations and the banking systems, but certainly everybody wants to own a home and have that American dream. So I think they got a pretty good clue of what's going on with that as well. And that's what we try to do is educate them a little bit better. Again on these Saturday classes that we have them for 5-6 hours a day, and then again on the union meetings. So it is hopeful, and again speaking with my children that are younger too. One's in college. She's got it right spot on. I mean, I think I did a pretty good job of speaking around the dinner table enough. And as a college student right now, I mean, she couldn't support Bernie any more than anyone else out there, and she gets it because she's seeing those college bills come in, and she knows what he's out there preaching, and hopefully he can be successful at accomplishing some of that.
Gary, labor is kind of split on this presidential. I mean, most of the unions, I think, AFSCME and SEIU, some of the other big ones have endorsed Hillary.
Yes.
The transit workers last week in New York endorsed Bernie.
Mm-hmm.
The nurses have endorsed Bernie. The communication workers have endorsed Bernie. How about the roofers and waterproofers?
Well, nationally, the roofers have endorsed Hillary, but in Chicago we endorsed Bernie. Our membership.
You can do that?
Well, you don't tell Kinsey, but we did. So, all right, we did.
But you can.
It's Chicago. It's a local. That's why they call it a local union. So, we believe that if you're in touch with what the membership wants, you're going to do better, and we've got to convince them that this is the right path. And just say Bernie doesn't get there, we still have to support Hillary. They have to understand any Democratic candidate is the best candidate for us right now. So.
Well, when we were in Chicago, there were several members of the Machinist Union, the auto mechanics, but the Machinist Union, who came by the studio, and I noticed that the Machinist Union, again, the International, has endorsed Hillary.
Mm-hmm.
The guys from Chicago with the Machinists all had Bernie Sanders stickers on the back of their cars. Right.
Yeah, that'll happen every now and then.
All right. So let's say that Bernie, despite your good efforts, does not end up being the nominee.
Mm-hmm.
What are the chances that your members will support Donald Trump?
Well, actually,
let's say assuming he's a Republican nominee.
Yeah, we do have a few Trumpers in the congregation, I guess. And
Trumpers, I like that.
Yeah, well, we talk to the apprentices. We have 400 apprentices that come through that place, and we're talking to them every weekend. And we let them know. And a lot of it's the military Benghazi, and they're just stuck on that. So we do try to educate them and let them know that listen, Trump doesn't stand for anything we stand for, guys. So. You have to be on the left.
He'd put you out of business. I mean, He is right to work. Every one of those Republican
Right,
candidates.
right. And I don't think they understand that, you know.
Right.
Yep, and you know, that's some of the things that you do have to try to tell these guys is that you have to listen to what he's saying, and you have to look at what his past actions have been. And when he built his hotel or condos out there at Trump's Tower
In Chicago?
Yeah, now he did sign a project labor agreement, which is great, but then he went ahead and sued one of the local trades for what he thought was a breach of that contract, and it ended up costing them some resources. So, you know, he wants to build the things, obviously, he wants them done professionally, he wants them done on time and in a budget, and that's what the unions can do for him. But then every chance he gets, as with other people he's done business with, he's very quick to sue, and that's almost every other word out of his mouth is, I'm going to sue you, I'm going to sue you. And when a person has resources like he does, he can really dwindle down some of the resources of our local unions and people and other corporations in general. So I think the guy's a harm to our country, in my opinion.
Right. You've got to. I'm sure you have a. And even before, I guess, you get to the general. What percentage of your members are Democrats and what percentage are Republicans? People assume that every member of a labor union is a Democrat. Not true.
You know, we can't. Right? Yeah, no, that's not true. We cover such a large area in Illinois. We cover like the northern third of Illinois. We touch Iowa, go into Wisconsin, and hit the Indiana border.
Whoa.
And we go down to Ottawa, LaSalle, Peru, Iroquois County. So when you get out away from the city a little bit, some of the thinking changes a little bit. It's more the gun issues and stuff like that. So there could be a good 10 to 25% of our members, may tee that line right there. So I would say that, it's at least 15% that probably vote that way. Listen, we got stuck with a governor because a lot of people voted that way, Now, I know Quinn didn't help the teachers and all, but when you start voting that way just because you get mad at one person, look what we ended up with. So
right.
And Gary, I think that's one of the things we got going for us in this election cycle. We've got the best example possible of showing you what happens when the ultra rich get in power, and that's one of the things that we're out there preaching to the membership.
With your governor of Illinois,
with our governor of Illinois, Bruce Rauner. So Rauner came in and he had
he basically bought that election.
He bought the election bill, and then when he came in, he instantly went on the attack of unions, and he's instantly gone on attack of the middle class. And we're trying to tell the membership if you don't like what's going on here in Illinois politics, put Trump in the White House and see this thing take off on steroids.
Right.
So we can't afford to have Davis-Bacon laws repealed. We can't afford to have project labor agreements terminated, and we can't afford somebody that's out preaching that he wants to make the country a right to work.
Right. This has become the MO. I mean, this is exactly what Scott Walker did, what Chris Christie did, what John Kasich did in Ohio, and
Snyder. Mitch Daniels.
Snyder, right.
Yeah. And let's face it, they're playing out of the playbooks of the Koch families and other ultra-rich people, and they've devised this system. It's been in place for probably 40 years, and it's coming to fruition right now, and they're successful in some areas. Fortunate enough, Chicago is a very strong union town, strongest in the country, and we're fending our own. But at a time right now when the economy's rolling good and the tower cranes are up and the buildings are getting built, it sure would be nice if you can put all your energies towards building that even better, as opposed to sitting here defending a governor that's attacking
trying to protect your pensions or protect your salaries,
exactly.
Protect your benefits or whatever.
Yeah, we don't like to call him the governor. We like to call him the millionaire in office because he's really not governing right now. Nothing is getting done there. Everything is just getting passed over, and they're not going to hear anything. He vetoes it. So
yeah, and Donald Trump is a Bruce Rauner in spades, right? Really?
Yes.
Yeah. Right. More money and more power.
Exactly.
But we're talking organized labor, importance of unions in this election and what they can do about it. When we come back, I want to ask you both, Gary and Jeff, about exactly what you're doing on the ground, to get people out to vote, and the power of the unions, which have been very, very, very instrumental in electing a lot of good Democrats at the state and national level. We'll be right back on the Bill Press Show. You want to jump in, union member or not, 866-55-PRESS is our toll-free number. We'll be right back.
Your place to talk about the 2016 election. This is the Bill Press Show.
We taught him how to hit a baseball.
Just like that. Say hi!
How to hit a receiver. the strike zone, the net. You taught him how to hit the upper quarter. You even taught him how to hit the open man. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit?
Calls me googly eyes.
You know you're beautiful, right? You know that?
Even you are beautiful. I got bullied for wearing glasses. Share if you're against bullying.
We put it out there, just took off. 3 million people have shared this post. Don't let bullies get you down. I stand with you. The whole family's wearing glasses. I wear glasses and I'm proud.
I even have the army on my team.
All the kind comments brought my child joy. I don't feel thank you is enough.
Thanks.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
I grew up in the housing projects of Cleveland. I didn't even know that life could be any better than it was. Education for me has been a way to get away from the agony of what was normal life. I want to be able to impact the community, not just look back on where I came from, but to reach back to where I came from and pull some people up with me. My name is David, and I am your dividend.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer. At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
Gary Menzel and Jeff Eppenstein from Roofers and Waterproofers, local number 11 out in Chicago, here in studio with us. I want to ask you about what labor is doing, but first of all, I have to ask you about this question of the minimum wage. What should it be? Gary?
Well, minimum wage, obviously you have many categories of work. So when you're in a union, there's a minimum wage that's set. When you work for just a private business, you're basically stuck with, the federal minimum wage or the state minimum wage.
Yeah.
Basically, if you think about it, minimum wage probably hasn't kept up with the inflation for the last 20, 30 years. So what should it be? Probably $20 an hour is what it should be.
I was just going to say, Hillary's at 12, Bernie's at 15. Even 15's not enough. Is it, Jeff?
No, $15 is not enough. If you try to, you do the math on a 40-hour job at $15 an hour, and then you start factoring in your rent or a mortgage and a car payment and gasoline and the tolls.
Yeah, no,
doesn't add up. No,
it just doesn't add up, And
it's certainly not a living wage.
It's not a living wage. And when you hear minimum wage, they'll think about what that means. This is the least amount of money that I can pay you to do the job. So that's what minimum wage is, and it's far below a standard that you can support a family or even yourself on.
Your apprentices come in. Where do they start?
Right now, they get for the first 6 months they get 45% of the journeyman wage, which is set at $41 an hour right now, and then after the first 6 months they get 50% of that. So they're making $20.50 within 6 months of doing the job, and some of them have no experience whatsoever.
Yeah. Let's say a quick hello to Dave out in Eureka, California. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Bill. Yeah. I'm in favor of a $15 minimum wage, whatever it turns out to be. But I was involved with workforce development, training people. And, of course, there's a lot of people that don't know how to work. So I believe there should be something like what the unions do with apprenticeships. Maybe $10 an hour to start, 3 months later, very short period, 3 months full-time, equivalent, $1.25 raise, 3 more months, $1.25 raise, until 1 year, you've reached the minimum wage. The $15.
Right. Let me just stop you right there. That makes sense, an apprenticeship like that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so our apprentices do start at just over $18 an hour. And again, as Gary said, after 6 months, they get bumped up to $20.50. But they also come in and after the first 6 months of work, they receive health care for themselves and their family.
Right. Yeah.
So and the great thing about unions, because it seems that we don't always highlight all the great things about them in the media and stuff. But the great thing about unions, when you talk about a fair wage and you talk about equal pay, well, where else other than a union does a woman come in and have the exact same pay as her coworker, whether he's male or not? And everybody comes in. I don't care where you come from. If you meet the requirements, which are very, very minimal requirements here, we take kids in and we train them in the field of roofing, and everybody's got a chance at the same career.
Right. And Gary, so just on the get out the vote, you guys will be doing the phone banking, the banging on doors.
Yes.
Because that's the most important thing, right?
Yeah, boots on the ground. We get out there, we do the phone banking. We work with the CFL in Chicago, the Chicago Federation of Labor, the AFL-CIO, and they coordinate a lot of it. They give us the areas, the districts, and we either phone bank or knock on doors all day long.
All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming in. A lot of hard work in this election. I know you count on you that you'll be out there doing it. And thank you again for your sponsorship of our program out on the great WCPT in Chicago. We'll see you again. Thanks Gary. Thanks, Jeff.
This is the Bill Press Show.
The most important issue on this planet right now is to protect and conserve biodiversity in the world's oceans. And I don't think people realize just how intimate our connection is with the oceans themselves. Not only do they provide the very foundation of life and control our weather, but life just simply could not exist without a healthy ocean. The real problem, though, is apathy. It's all out of sight, it's all out of mind, and people don't even think about it. But it doesn't matter whether you live in Peoria or on the coast. The fact is, whatever happens in the ocean affects all life forms on the planet Earth. If the oceans die, then civilization collapses. We all die. We cannot live on this planet without the oceans. This is, in fact, not the planet Earth. It's the planet ocean, but because we're a land-dwelling species, we refer to it as Earth. But it is the planet ocean, and the oceans are the heart and the foundation of all life on the planet.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where the ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine, Virginia Tech,
Tucson,
Aurora,
Fort Hood, Oak Creek,
Newtown.
Newtown,
Newtown.
Newtown.
How many more?
How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough. 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 Enough.
Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad, as a friend, as a husband,
As a wife.
as an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday. It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 Can't catch the entire show? Listen to BP in 3, where we turn 3 hours into 3 minutes. Find it every day at BP Show on Twitter or at BillPressShow.com.
Here we go now at 33 minutes after the hour. It is the Bill Press Show on this Monday, April 18, tax day. Good to be back with you after a couple of days there at CNN and down in Asheville, North Carolina, for a great big event at Avenue M Friday night. It was wonderful to see so many good friends in Asheville. I got to tell you, North Carolina, great state and great people. Pat McCrory, their governor, does not represent the people of North Carolina, and certainly most of the people, certainly all the people that I know, everybody's embarrassed and angry about HB2, and they're doing everything they can to overturn it. Anyhow, thanks to all of our good friends down at 880 The Revolution in Asheville for a great event, and to everybody who came out Friday evening. And one of the things that's most interesting about what's happening in North Carolina is the opposition to HB2, and I think successful efforts to overturn it, are being led by the business community. It is Google, and it's Uber, and it's Twitter, and it's Wells Fargo, and it's Bank of America, and other business, and PayPal in North Carolina, who have told the governor, no, this does not represent us. You change this law, you rescind this law, or else we may be moving out of the state or not expanding our operations in the state. I say that as a way of introduction to our good friend, the president of the Humane Society of the United States, Wayne Pacelli, who has had huge success, thanks to his leadership, in getting businesses to take the lead also on animal rights, not just human rights, right?
Well,
Wayne, it's good to see you, Wayne. Thanks for coming back in.
Bill, great to be with you. We've been fighting on animal welfare for 25 years together. Thank you for having me on the launch of my book.
Yes, I know, and that's right. The new book is The Humane Economy, but that's what it's all about, right?
Well, I think you hit it right on the head. I mean, I have said to a few people, I said the reaction by the business community on the LGBT issues is very similar in some ways to the trends in the broader sense of what's happening in animal welfare. Our values are changing in this society, and I think no two movements really are changing faster in terms of broad acceptance of their ideas than the gay rights movement and the animal protection movement. I mean, it's just been a cascade of reforms for both causes, particularly in the last 5 years. And I think what this really reflects is that mainstream sentiment has moved in our directions on both of these causes. And, you know, I'm obviously immersed in animal protection. Right. And we have had so many announcements from the biggest brand names in different sectors of the economy. And it shows that this is not an idea on the margins any longer. It's in the mainstream.
Well, I want to talk about some of those successes, but I do have to say, you know, I don't want you to be too humble here. You know, today's successes have come as a result of a lot of years of hard work where, you know, you really had to work at building that support and educating the public and educating these people.
It's almost like you know, a flame on a pot of boiling water. I mean, the flame has been on high for a long time, and now you just start to see it boil finally.
Yeah, that's good. So let's start with SeaWorld, which is, I think, maybe the one where you got the most public attention to that, because it's such a big operation, right?
Yes.
So many people have taken advantage of the shows, but they've made a major commitment, a major change. How to come about, and what are they doing?
Well, it's quite amazing. We have been at loggerheads with SeaWorld for so long. I mean, we had staff that were focused on this, and I think the real moment in this debate, the pivot point, was Gabriella Cowperthwaite, a film director, did Blackfish, which ran serially on CNN. I mean, CNN bought the rights, and it just kept rebroadcasting it. Got great numbers, especially among millennials. Lots of young people saw this. I remember, you know, my niece and nephew in Oregon, they watched it. They called me. They said, "We are so angry. What can we do about SeaWorld? We don't like the treatment of those orcas." And I think so many people just said, okay, there's a backstory here. And Bill, this is something you and I have talked about for so many years. There is a distance between our lives and what happens to these animals. And so many of the behaviors that we engage in, whether it's going to a theme park or it's buying food or buying clothing in a store, we're just kind of going along, and we really don't know the full backstory of what happens to these animals. And I think what we're seeing in the information age is that distance between our behavior and what happens to the animals is shrinking. We're getting an insight and a window into what's occurring. So the SeaWorld thing has been a long-term fight, 25 years, but I think the breakthrough is the new CEO. He came in a year ago, April. He, I think, was a reformer and a former congressman, John Campbell of California, who knew me from my work on Capitol Hill on animal protection, and knew Joel Manby, the head of SeaWorld, from his work in the auto industry. They were both auto industry executives before they pursued these different routes. He got us together and said, listen, I think you may have more common ground than you think. So we sat down, and over 3 months, we had very quiet negotiations. I mean, no one knew about it. And SeaWorld agreed to 4 big things. One, they're going to end the breeding of orcas. So the current generation of orcas that they have at the facilities will be the last one. So it'll be sunsetting. They're going to phase out the theatrical shows and just show them in more natural, normal behaviors. 2, they're going to expand the rescue and rehabilitation of marine mammals. Now, you know, it's hard to Where do you, if there's a stranded dolphin, if there's a stranded pilot whale, where do you go? SeaWorld actually has facilities. So if they can put millions more into rescue and rehab, they've already done a good share of work on this issue previously, so it's not something new. Let's expand it. Third is they're going to engage with HSUS in fighting commercial whaling against the Japanese and also help us fight the seal hunt in Canada. In fact, today, SeaWorld has paid for ads with the Humane Society co-branded with them in the New York Times, Washington Post, LA Times, Wall Street Journal against commercial whaling. So today's newspapers all have these ads. And then finally, which was very important to me, I said, hey, this needs to be a broader commitment to animal welfare. And you and I have talked about how factory farming of animals for food is one of the big moral problems in animal welfare, the mistreatment of these animals in extreme confinement, sometimes routine mutilations of the animals, like cutting their tails off for no good reason. And SeaWorld has agreed for its 22 million visitors and 20,000 employees to change its food policies.
Oh, wow.
So they're going to do at all of their facilities cage-free eggs, crate-free pork, more plant-based options, sustainable seafood. So this was a big...
God, talk about a win-win-win-win-win, right?
I think so. I think so. And we also... Criticism is designed to advance a goal, and then you hope criticism is the antecedent to acceptance of the ideas, right? We don't want to be in an endless, position of criticizing. We want companies to change. We embrace change. We're about social change, about public policy change. So when a big corporation like this, a billion-dollar company, says we're going to change, I want to be the first one to applaud that. So I'm very excited about
absolutely, it. We should. The Baltimore Aquarium, I think, is a wonderful, wonderful facility. And we were up there not so long ago, and they no longer have a dolphin show. Right?
Yeah, yes.
They just have the dolphins swimming in this tank, and, you can sit there and kind of observe them. You can see through the glass, and once in a while, one of them will kind of pop up, right, or whatever. But is that acceptable?
That's what I wanted to ask.
Well,
should they just release them all?
Well, the Baltimore Aquarium really has been the leader on this issue. So I believe they're not going to acquire any new dolphins, so they're going to phase that out.
Phase it out, yeah.
It's difficult on the release issue, and this is something that's still being discussed, what to do with the killer whales at SeaWorld. And I think everybody agrees that release into the wild can't be done.
Because they've never lived in the wild, have they?
Well, of the 29 or so orcas or killer whales that SeaWorld has, 24 or 25 were born in captivity. So, you just cannot release them into the wild. They don't have pods and families to go back to.
Yeah.
And then for the 4 that were captured from the wild, which was a terrible thing that happened, it happened 35 or 40 years ago. They've been out of that environment for so long. So I think the debate is really about what are called sea pens, which would be kind of an inlet or a coastal area where they'd have a pen so the animal would have more space. So some of the animal groups and HSUS historically have advocated for that. We're going to continue the discussion with SeaWorld on the issue. It's complicated because some of the animals, born in captivity, there's a mother and kids. Do you do the whole group or what? So in my book, The Humane Economy, I advocate for that, but I've agreed with SeaWorld that, hey, we're going to celebrate these gains, take a little bit of a pause, and study and take a look at the issues. But it's difficult. Once you take animals from the wild or you breed them in captivity, and you change your views on captivity, what do you do with them? It becomes a really difficult issue. Bill, we talked about this previously, but last year, we ended the use of chimpanzees in invasive experiments in the United States. The government ended it. It was a watershed moment. I also talk about it in the book in the Humane Economy. 400 of them were held by the federal government, and 400 were held by private entities, pharmaceutical uses and the like. So now they're all going to get out. But caring for 800 chimpanzees. What an immense expense. The average cost is $15,000 to $20,000 a year per chimp. So you think of this, it's millions, and they live 50 or 60 years. So some of them are 2 or 5 years old. What a burden for those of us who have to grapple with wild animals who were wrongly placed in a captive setting, whether for theatrical shows or for invasive experiments. Should the animal welfare community have to bear the burden of $100 million?
How can you?
If you look at the amortization of this chimpanzee, it's $150 million to care for these chimps.
Whoa. The Humane Economy. It's all spelled out in Wayne Pacelli's new book, How Innovators and Enlightened Consumers Are Transforming the Lives of Animals. Wayne's here with us in the studio for another 15 minutes or so. Got time to get a quick question in at 866-55-PRESS. We'll talk about some of the other remarkable successes of the Humane Society of the United States when we come back under Wayne Pacelli's leadership. We'll be right back.
Connect with The Bill Press Show on Twitter. Follow us at BP Show and tweet using the hashtag WatchingBP. This is The Bill Press Show.
It occurred to me tonight, for the first time, that the long-winged insect that over and over again rams its body into the wood of my front door might not know what he's doing. He might not have a plan. Maybe that's just how he flies, and that is where the door is. And I remember you, the last time I saw you, a few weeks before we would graduate from high school, and a few days before you let a bullet dissolve on your tongue. Dancing in a warehouse rave, sweat-drenched and strobe light battered, thrashing your arms back and thrusting them forward. The floor could get so bright and loud, we all slowed down to be more careful, but you kept dancing full sprint tornado, and sometimes you'd spin full weight into a wall and just spread your arms against it and sway back and forth like a lover reunited. This long-winged insect is not trying to get into the house. It doesn't know there is a house. Can't imagine a life beyond that door. All it can see is the light. You and I were both 17 when you died. And ever since then, I have envied you. How you are remembered for towering, unclaimed potential instead of living to look regret in the face. You didn't have to come home 3 weeks later and explain to your little brother why you took too much medicine. Your addiction is remembered as a tragedy, not a betrayal. Your suicide attempt became a suicide, not an unpaid hospital bill. And only tonight did it occur to me that maybe that night when you let your teeth touch metal, you might not have known what you were doing. You might not have had a plan. Maybe you had hit that door so many times you couldn't imagine it might let you through. I'm still ashamed to admit it, but I have always secretly believed you did it for me, that you wanted to show me that there is a way out of all of this. Not so that I would follow you, but so I would understand that every day that I am alive is a day that I choose to be alive. And when the music stops, you still get to keep on dancing. And when the light is so bright it blinds, you can dance with your eyes closed. And if in that dark you come up against a wall, you keep your arms out wide and you dance with the wall.
TV and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Here we go now at 12 minutes before the top of the hour. And if you're in the Washington, D.C. area tonight at Sidwell Friends, Politics and Prose, holding a conversation with Wayne Pacelli and his new book, and Senator Cory Booker, and who else, Wayne?
And Kathleen Parker of the Washington Post.
Kathleen Parker from the Washington Post. We'll be talking about the humane economy. And all the great progress and success stories that we're talking about now with Wayne Pacelli, president of the Humane Society of the United States, which, of course, is humanesociety.org. Walmart, the number one biggest retailer in the United States, another big move.
Unbelievable. You know, I mean, Walmart sells so many things, but it sells a lot of food. It sells 25% of all groceries in the U.S., Bill.
Get
you can
out.
believe that. 25%.
Whoa.
So it's probably about 15 billion eggs. And you and I have talked about this before.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to steal just a piece of
Oh,
paper.
here
I'll
we
give
go.
it
I love
right
this.
back to you.
Yes,
Yeah.
right there it
So
is.
so this piece of paper is 93 square inches, 8.5 by 11. It's standard copy paper, is what you print on. So the average, production system gives hens 2/3 a sheet of paper for living space, 67 square inches. So if you have an
They
average
can't even
piece of paper,
spread their wings.
oh yeah, they're jammed side shoulder to shoulder. It'd be like me and you and 6 or 7 other guys in a small elevator. Imagine if we were stuck in there for 15 minutes, we'd start to go wild.
Right.
What if
Yeah.
it were
What
a
if
day?
your lifetime.
This is your lifetime. So, to confine animals so severely to the point where they cannot move is shameful. I mean, it is shameful, and somehow this became acceptable. And in 2008, we did a ballot measure in California to ban this confinement. It was called Proposition 2. So nearly 8 years ago when Obama was elected in November of 2008, we passed Prop 2. Since that time, after we demonstrated that the public is with us and wants animals built to move, being allowed to move, we have run the table with so many major big food brands. So Walmart announced just a couple weeks ago that is ending its purchase of eggs from cage confinement facilities. McDonald's, Cracker Barrel, Kroger, Safeway, every big name brand you can think of has already gone and made a pledge. Now, it's going to take a little while to phase in, but the trajectory is definite. It's clear. We're going to end cage confinement.
So the big chicken farms or whatever, right, like on the Eastern Shore, that means they have to get rid of their cages and the chickens run free? Or?
Well, there are two different. So the chickens are used for egg production, and there are about 300 million of them. Now, the number one egg-producing state in the country is Iowa, but then Indiana is a big one. Ohio is a big one. California is a big one. The Eastern Shore mainly has the broilers. Those are the ones raised for meat.
I got it.
And then they're big in the South as well. So all of those birds are in cage-free, but there are lots of issues with them too. And the big issue is fast growth. So we have genetically manipulated these broiler birds, the meat birds. So they go to market within 6 weeks. If you and I, or if a human child grew as fast as a chicken, we would weigh at the age of 2. We would weigh about 385 pounds.
Oh my God.
It is incredible. The accelerated
That's
growth.
remarkable.
Yeah.
They force feed them, is that it?
Well, no. It's selective. It's selective breeding for fast growth, and they grow so fast, and they often can't stand. They have leg problems and hip problems. Some of them have heart attacks, and we're talking about juveniles. We're talking about babies having heart attacks. So the factory farm was basically this notion of. We took from the industrial era this notion of efficiency and applied it to agriculture. And of course, it's a noble idea to do things more efficiently. But they forgot about the animals. They forgot these were living beings. And I think what's happening with the humane economy that I talk about is we're finally throwing the values back into the equation. And these food retailers are saying, hey, we've got this customer base that now knows that inhumane treatment of animals is wrong. Confinement's wrong. Cutting off the tails of cows is wrong. Confining veal calves so they can't turn around is wrong. So we're going to change our policies, and that has been the soft spot in industrial agriculture today. And I recount not only this, but also I talk about innovation. There are entrepreneurs developing food companies that are fabricating plants and turning them into plant-based proteins that mimic the qualities of meat. So you can have a chicken-like product. You can have a piece of chicken that is not really chicken, but looks and tastes like it. It has the same taste and texture. I mean, if we could put a man on the moon 45 years ago or 48 years ago, whatever it was, and we can develop the smartphone, can't we fabricate products and figure out a way that we can meet all of our protein and nutritional needs and also our customs in terms of taste and texture? We're also growing meat in a lab. I talk about these entrepreneurs who are growing meat in a lab. We have cell cultures to produce insulin for diabetics.
Yeah.
Cell cultures are very good. We're growing meat in a lab, and I think in the not too distant future, we're going to see amazing gains in this area.
My God.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a whole new world. And what a visionary, what a great leader, Wayne Pacelle, president of the Humane Society of the United States. Again, the book in your local bookstore or online, Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com. The Humane Economy will also have a link up on our website. Wayne Pacelli, thank you so much for everything you're doing.
It's great to be with you. You're the best.
For us and for the animal world. So
You've
we're all together here.
You've been an advocate for animals for so long, Bill. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
True believer. Thanks so much, Wayne. We'll
Thank
see
you.
I'll be back with a quick parting shot.
Get social with Bill Press. Like us at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. This is The Bill Press Show.
You taught him how to hit a baseball. Just like that. Say hi! How to hit a receiver. The strike zone. The net. You taught him how to hit the upper corner. You even taught him how to hit the open man. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit?
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
I grew up in the housing projects of Cleveland. I didn't even know that life could be any better than it was. Education for me has been a way to get away from the agony of what was normal life. I want to be able to impact the community, not just look back on where I came from, but to reach back to where I came from and pull some people up with me. My name is David, and I am your dividend.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
The Parting Shot with Bill Press. This is The Bill Press Show.
Well, as you know, I was in Brooklyn for the big debate last week, and what a glorious night it was watching Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders debate the issues in front of a wild, raucous crowd of New Yorkers. I was never so proud to be a Democrat. It was a lively debate. It was spirited at times. It was even tense and pointed, but it was always focused on the issues. A great debate, which should make for a close contest in New York tomorrow. Yep, we'll be keeping our eye on that. By the way, I'll be up on CNN again this morning at 10:15 Eastern. I'll see you there. And I'll see you right back here tomorrow morning.
This is the Bill
We'll be
Press
looking for
Show.
you.